Hello, this is Danny Green. We're so glad you're here with us this evening at the the National Guild of Hypnotists Washington chapter, and tonight we have Mark Farmer presenting, so I'm going to turn the meeting over to him. We've intentionally kept us all off mute so we can have a conversation, and Mark, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I am hoping to be half as calm and collected as you, Danny. I am hoping to be as eloquent as you were last week, Anna. And gosh, if I could be half as well dressed as as Jim, and in such a great location, and half as handsome, then everything would be fine. So yeah, I wanted to talk about productization. And although I am a new hypnotist, I've been an online marketer for 20 years and started off building products and selling products. And so having come new to hypnotism and dipping into how deep the conversation is and how powerful the conversation is, it occurs to me that the world needs more of what you offer. And I think that's part of what productization offers and allows. It's got benefits for yourself. It's also got benefits for our market. So as I said earlier, I do better with conversations. So please, by all means, feel free to speak up, interject, interrupt, ask questions. If it's something that we'll cover later or talk about later, I'll say, we'll get to that. But otherwise, I feed best off of energy. I'd love to hear your laughs if I say something funny. I'd love to hear your groans if I say something horrible, and I'd love to hear your questions. I'll say two things regarding the webinar. Is that I'm hoping to present useful information that you can apply. You can listen to this and do nothing with it, at which point it becomes maybe infotainment and maybe something that gets logged in the back of your mind. And maybe it'll be something that you come to later and use later, and that's fine too. Not everybody is ready to launch a product or whatnot. But in addition, I would say that the best way to learn is to implement. In addition to being an online marketer, I'm also a life coach, and I've been doing that also for 20 years. And so many of the clients, the repetitive issue is they are fearful to jump into new waters. It feels uncomfortable. They're afraid to take a risk. And so they inevitably spend so much time learning so that they can take action. And it is my repetitive plea to them to please take action to learn. That you do not have to start off with perfection. All of us are a work in progress. We will iterate for as long as we are alive. And so be willing to jump in and start with something. Be willing for it not to work out, and that'll be one of the best ways for you to be able to adapt what you do to products. So what is productization? It refers to the process of developing or altering a process, an idea, a skill, or a service to make it a standalone product and more efficient for sale to the public. Now, one of the things that I've been working on and will be presenting on the 17th to my own audience is the ideas of passive income, of which productization is part of. Productization can be merely taking what you do now and homogenifying it, turning it into something that is a standard package, and perhaps looking for ways to leverage that, but still requires you to provide it. And I think that that can be powerful. I think that that has powerful benefits for yourself and your clients. They know better what to expect. Oftentimes it brings down price points. Oftentimes it lights light bulbs for what they can use your services for. I think that it has benefits for yourself. It makes it easier for you to do the work one time, know what you're presenting, and be able to do it. So there's infinite power in productization, turning your service into a standard package. In addition, in my opinion, it is more powerful to add the component of turning that passive. And I'll be very interested to talk about that even more today and figure out what we can do. To be clear, that looking back at my notes, yeah, productization doesn't necessarily have to involve physical goods. It obviously can involve services like what a lot of you do. But one of the things that I would love to do is dip into what each of you do and take a little bit of poll about what you're already doing. And that will help me to understand. Before I jump into that, a little bit of background about myself. I came to Seattle for law school. I attended and graduated University of Washington School of Law, 99 through 2003, with intellectual property tract and copyrights, patents. And so that was part of my fascination, watching what was happening with the internet, people turning ideas into sellable products. I didn't want to be the attorney in the back room doing boring work. I wanted to be the entrepreneur leading the charge into the world and changing the world. And so I launched a Life Success website, which I worked hard to become top 3 in the world of life websites at the time, Life Success websites. So in addition, part of the issue was that everything that I wanted to sell also required people to come to it. It's never as easy as just having the bright idea. Then you have to figure out how you sell it or how you connect people with it. And so that started my long and laborious process the last 20 years of discovering how to reach people, how to develop products so that they are sellable, and how to indeed sell them. So let me jump in real quick and ask if you guys would all, do you have products, however you define them currently, up available on your website? DL, what do you offer?
Well, I offer MP3s. Well, they're downloads now. When I first started this, they were cassette tapes. Awesome. Of hypnotic inductions for various issues. Could be just stress. It could be the emotional release therapy. It could be for drugs and alcohol. It could be for whatever the topic is. They're all on my website. And so I got to tell you, sometimes won't hear out of anybody in that particular fashion for several months, and then all of a sudden I'll get an order for like 10 of the MP3s all at once.
Beautiful.
And so sometimes it sells, and sometimes it's like no.
And when it sells, when you've been sleeping, isn't that brilliant? Isn't that powerful?
Yes.
And that's
it's really nice to get on your email and learn that you got money sitting in PayPal because people have ordered all this stuff, and now that they download it, I don't have to mail anything out. Bingo. I used to have to mail out little CDs and things like that. Now it's like, no, people just download it.
Yep. And I'll mention that. And then let me preface real quick before we go around. Sometimes I'll talk about entrepreneurship lesson 101, which I believe is entrepreneurship lesson 101. But let me talk first about entrepreneurship lesson 102. Oftentimes working with startup companies, entrepreneurs, they are hesitant to share their ideas for fear that someone else will steal them. It's a mistake. It's a lie. Get what your special sauce nobody else can do. Your special perspective, what you add to the world, other people will not be able to duplicate in the way that you're offering to. And there is incredible power in going ahead and speaking out loud what it is you want to do or what you're doing. And so I'm hoping that people will feel free to. Danny, you offer some, I'm just going in order that the screen is. Yeah, DL.
There was one other thing I wanted to add. Sure. When I first started this, and I don't know if this will make any difference on the productivity, but I have a resource page. And so when people are looking for books or something of that nature, I have a lot of books listed on my website where when people click on them, it takes them over to say Amazon or something, and they buy them from Amazon. And as I tell the client, I think I make like 4 or 5 cents off of each sale. It's not a big sales item. It's just that I wanted you to have a really easy way of getting to those books.
Awesome. And I love that idea. That'll be one of the ideas that I talk about.
I just wanted to add that in.
Yeah, thank you. And that'll be one of the ideas that I talk about on the 17th regarding passive income. For today, I'm hoping to focus on that special sauce or what you each are doing, and then turning that into products. And so, Danny, do you have any products for sale?
Yes, I actually have, my programs are in a binder that I sell to my clients. And then I put all my learning videos on YouTube for free to benefit the world. And I have guided meditations that I also record and send by email to my clients. So I do have materials for my clients, but it's not sold more broadly than that. And I just wrote a book, How to Be a Successful Wedding Officiant, and that will be an ebook. So as soon as I get someone to beta test that, then that's something I can sell.
Make sure you mention that when we get to talking about informational products, because that'll be something that we can dig into. And this is something that I consult with other businesses on how to do and have done for a number of entrepreneurs. And so use me for today's conversation for how we do that. So brilliant, Danny. And can I just clarify that your binder is a physical binder? Is that correct?
Yes, very.
Okay, no worries, no worries.
Yeah.
Jim, you're next on my list on my screen, at least. Do you have products for sale?
Yeah, I've got MP3 downloads like DL's talking about. I've also got a couple of courses. I'm working on a new program, stop smoking program. It'll be available digitally. That's really the direction I want to go, is moving into digital products.
Absolutely brilliant and so powerful to do, particularly for somebody like yourself that can begin to systematize that. So hit me up with, in this conversation, some of those newer ideas. And in working with entrepreneurs over the last 20 years to help them to productize their offerings, I've got thousands of resources in my mind about how to do things. And so to the degree that you're willing to and is useful to the group, we can dip into some very efficient methods for doing that. Can I ask real quick, the MP3s that you have up, what are the same three main topics or top three topics?
It's weight loss. It's mostly just the weight loss one. I don't sell much of the other one. I'm wanting to do more, but that's about it right now. I'm looking into funnels and stuff. It's funny we're doing this together. I'm looking into funnels now because I don't really do a good job of selling it. I just have it on the website, and it's like, come take a look.
And okay. My mind goes about 4 different places. And this is a common entrepreneur's problem, right? We do what we do because we're passionate about that and we want to do that. But all of a sudden, all of a sudden you get a business and you're trying to sell something because you're trying to benefit the world. I love Danny's earlier statement about putting up the videos to bless the world. And we want to connect with people. This has powerful meaning for people. It changes lives. But all of a sudden, connecting with the people who most need it is an entirely different skill set that for most of us is onerous. It does not feel comfortable. It takes us away from what we're passionate about. And so that'll be something that we talk about. Thank you for that, Jim. Anna, what products do you have, or do you have products?
Me?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't have any physical products, but I'm about to publish a book. And my goal, I imagine that I'm going to speak, I'm going to teach, and the book is kind of product that I'm going to sell.
Nice.
I also offer programs which I physically deliver. So it's 12 sessions program, and I teach ancient techniques for energy movement, and I combine it with hypnosis. And at the end, people have techniques that they can use until when they can continue doing it. So this is my favorite thing. And I tried groups programs and I found it difficult.
Interesting.
For me, it was difficult to work with different energies. So with a client on person, and we kind of go deeper into the unconscious. And when I have people on the screen, to me, it's more difficult.
Love it. May I ask and you bring up an important point. One of my recommendations, and we'll get into this in a little bit, about deciding what you decide to productize, is what resources and what your own passions are. Not all of us are interested in the same things. So that if working with groups is troublesome or distracting or just not in your wheelhouse or what you like, then obviously we move away from that. And there are so many different ideas that you can productize. that there will be something that you can, but it can be very powerful. May I ask the topic of the book that you're writing, if you feel comfortable sharing?
It's for women, how to use sexual energy
Love it.
to activate their energy, how to look younger.
Love it.
And it's all based on those ancient techniques.
Love it.
Yes.
Absolutely cool. Really, really nice. Thank you so much. Barbara, do you have any products?
I have classes that I sell.
How do you run them?
I do them. I do them online. I do them in person pre-COVID. They're 8-hour classes that I wrote for groups and doulas or midwives, anybody that wants to learn about pre and perinatal psychology, and so that they're able to educate the people that they're working with, the birthing people they're working with. And then the prenatal bonding is a specialized individual program for pregnant women. And they find out from me, from previous clients, and from Gerhardt's website in Germany, where I work one couple at a time, engaging them with the baby in the womb. And it's a process, it's a program.
Okay.
Well, it's a close to 40 weeks I spend with them.
Wow.
So I do teaching and education.
And all of these are presented live, the ones that are online and in person? Gotcha. May I ask your typical class size?
For empowering pregnancy, I had like 7. I had 7 the last class. As far as prenatal bonding, you do it on an individual basis. And I do doula work also. So I sell a service where I assist women in labor also. And I teach hypnobirthing classes for the state of Washington. And that is an online program, group class, or I teach in the hospital pre-COVID.
And both of those are the hypnobirthing, that's live, correct? You're there either online or in person?
Yep. And I have 8 students in this particular class. We have 14 students. These are families, 14 families, anywhere from 8 to 14 families every 8 weeks or so.
Good. Okay. And Barbara, your job, if you choose to accept it, is to engage me again later in the conversation, because for whatever reason, I'm a little bit challenged at this point, thinking how you might productize. There are some immediate things that come to my mind, but I would love to talk to you more about it, because I think that there are ways that you can leverage it. So I'd like to talk. Jim, I wanted to come back real quick to you and ask, do you mind telling me the topic of your courses?
Yeah, I have a self-esteem course and a keto eating program.
Awesome. And are these automated courses or in person?
Automated.
Beautiful. Brilliant. Okay, great. So
and Mark, we also have someone else that's joined us, Cindy.
Bring him in.
Thank you so much for checking in.
Hey.
Oh, hi there.
How are you?
Go ahead and just let us know where you're from and what you do. And then if you want to answer Mark's question, whether you have any product.
Well, Val, thanks for allowing me to join you. I don't usually, I'm down in Olympia. But the topic really appealed to me here. So yeah, I have some MP3 recordings that I've made for clients.
Beautiful.
I've productized one of them into CD, Stop Smoking program. So I can do that. That's generally not the focus of my work, though. I really work with people who feel that they have lost their voice for whatever reason, and helping you to find your voice, find yourself, both individually and out into community. So one of the focuses that I do is to hold spaces where all voices are heard, and to really create these experiences that may have been lacking before in people's lives along those lines.
Absolutely love it. One of the
Great
backgrounds that I
study.
came from was working within domestic violence and the discussion of consensus and holding space for people. And so it is incredibly powerful to actually acknowledge and to hear people. And that's part of why I've asked Danny to keep the unmute button off, and that people can individually mute themselves, but all of your voices contribute to our knowledge. Each of you will challenge us and provide other ideas that we can all play off of. So thank you for joining us. So I was born into a blue collar family. I was taught that you trade either effort or time for money. And this has been the model that I was raised with up until pretty much coming to Seattle and attending law school. That was my first insight that maybe there was some other way to earn money. Again, we're here to talk about productization of income. Maybe by the end of today's seminar, I will be able to pronounce it without stuttering. Anyways. So I was introduced to productization, and that is to take what you do and to standardize it, which is incredibly powerful. In my opinion, even more powerful than that is one step up, and that's the passive income. After law school, I launched a website called Total Life Success. It's now, I'm blessed to be part of the Internet Archive, that it was logged as one of the top websites of the era. But I had written a book. Well, let me even back up. I decided to go to law school. I wrote my introductory paragraph about who I was, hoping to be accepted. And the person that helped me edit it and turn it into my letter said, you know, Mark, the thing that's profound about you is not just that you set goals, but that you've done it for 10 years and that you actually work on them. This is something that he felt was unfamiliar. I thought, all right, we'll run with it. I had a bright idea that I wanted to help everybody in the world accomplish their life dreams. I came from a place where I felt in the past that I was disenfranchised and was always told that I could not. And so this is what I wanted to share with people, is that whatever you dream that you can accomplish. So I wrote the book, and that's awesome. Well, what the heck are you going to do with a book? I immediately realized I needed to sell it. And so I put up a web advertisement and nobody came. So I immediately understood that I needed to market it. Well, and this is what we had talked about earlier, that it's moving away from what my passion was, helping people accomplish their dreams. But whatever. So I started marketing it, and I got a modicum of success. Some people began coming and purchasing the book. Similar to Danny, you said you had the physical binder, right? Yeah, similar to you, Danny, I put it together in a binder. I wanted this to be a workbook where people added to and detracted. So it was a physical binder. And every day, similar to yourself, DL, when I woke up in the morning and I found I had, an extra $30 or $50 in my bank account, that was magical. What that meant for me with my product was that I needed to go get one of the binders or buy a binder. I needed to go run off a copy of the book. And I would go down to Kinko's and I would run off a copy of the book. And I would go over to Office Depot and I would buy one of the binders that I would put it in. And I would buy, it came with index sheets. And so I'd buy the index sheets. And then after I had assembled the book, I would have to put it in a box and I would have to take it down to the post office and I'd have to mail it off. I think, if you totaled up the time at, say, McDonald's wages for, $7 an hour, by the time I had finished producing the book, I probably made $3.50 or 50 cents off of each book. But it was still so empowering to do this. I thought, I will get more efficient. I'll print up a bunch of books. Well, then I had to invest a bunch of money in a bunch of books. And then I had to waste a bunch of space in my apartment storing the books. And every time a sale came in, I still had to take it, package it, take it down to the post office, mail it off. I thought, this is crazy. The magic for me started with realizing I needed to digitize the product. And that certainly was magical. I still suffered and struggled with a income model for my website. At the end, my website developed a bunch of passive income, and we'll dip into some of those as I suggest some of the ideas that each of you might implement for yourselves. Again, going with Barbara's earlier point about whatever it is that you're passionate about and what you have available and what makes sense to you. But by the end, I was making between $1,000 and $4,000 a month off of largely passive income. It's interesting because and it was productized passive income. And I was talking with a hypnotist yesterday who shared, well, there is no such thing as passive income, was the kind of takeaway that I took. I said, well, you know, what do you mean by that? He said, well, you know, you always have to do some kind of upkeep. And I said, well, you know, tell me more. He said, well, I sell products on my website, and when I first put up all the products, I made about $4,000 a month. Okay, sounds pretty good to me. You know, I'll take an extra $4,000 in my bank account. He said, yeah, but after a couple months, it slowed down. Excuse me. He said, after a couple of years, it slowed down. You know,
Why?
I'll still, well, I don't even, you know, I'm more flippant, and I'm more of a cynic. I don't even care why. You're telling me for 2 years you earned an extra 4,000. That sounds pretty damn good to me. And don't get me wrong. If this is the thing that people end up with productization and passive income, is by all means, if we want to keep it going or expanding, or once you get that $1,000 mark, and I encourage people to play a game with themselves, just aim for $10 of product sales to start off with. After that, aim for $100. Work for $1,000. But I mean, if you've got $1,000, all of a sudden you catch the bug and you don't want 1,000 isn't enough. You'd like 4,000. Well, you put more effort into it. But part of the idea of productization or passive income is to get the product built and selling automated so that you can move on with your life. There are incredible benefits for yourself as an entrepreneur. You, well, let's start with the audience first. You have a greater reach. You connect with more people. You're changing more lives. The world genuinely needs what you want. Number two, you bring the price point down to a place where more people can afford it. If you're providing personalized services, it's $100 an hour, $200 an hour, $300 an hour. Number three, well, with the pandemic, we've all been relieved of having to meet face to face, but you further can expand your reach of where you're providing services to. You make it more efficient for yourself as an entrepreneur. And you standardize it. For yourself, it also introduces the power of being able to leverage it, to adapt it to other markets, and to increase your sales. And as DLU shared, it is incredibly powerful to wake up in the morning and have more money in your bank account than you started. And literally, that's the gift of productization. There was a time that I had set up Total Life Success was the name of the website, and I had forgotten that I had shoved everything into an account. And I realized I was short of funds for the money. I thought, oh, that's right. I've got this bank account. Let's check into it. I checked into it, and I had $7,000 waiting for myself. Like that, I didn't even know that I had the $7,000 because it was shoving money in there. So what are we talking about with productization? We're talking about an idea, a process, a product or a service, and standardizing it for delivery. We're talking about, it might be ideas, for instance, Kentucky Fried Chicken's 11 secret herbs and spices. That was a brilliant idea. And eventually Colonel Sanders came up with a pressure cooker, and he standardized that, and that became the product that he would then sell and franchise out. Made him a millionaire. It worked kind of well. Bikram yoga. Right? Let's standardize the type of yoga and how we do it. We'll implement a system where I train a trainer who trains trainers, and I get to go home. And don't get me wrong, the guy that founded Bikram Yoga chose to stay within it and became a personality of himself. But this is an example of productizing a service. Beachbody, Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies, Zumba, transcendental meditation. Right? Let's just take mantras and a process of meditating, and we will charge anywhere from $300 to $3,000, and we'll teach trainers to do it, but we'll standardize it. 5-path hypnosis might ring a bell for some of you. Elman, the Krasner method of hypnotherapy. He wrote a book on it and became well known, at least as far as some circles. So productization is reducing your knowledge into content, your actions into automated systems. It saves you money, and it saves the customer money. It gives you greater reach. Looking back through my notes. You as a service provider provides a more stable income. It makes it easier for you to grow your income. It makes additional income possible in upsells, cross-sells, ancillary sales. and you get to change your lifestyle because you're no longer tied into where you work, what time you work, or what your interests are. So there's 5 different ways to productize, four: audio, video, writing, or digital products. I'm going to run through a couple of examples of each. This is just to give you ideas, but again, I'd like you to be selfish in continuing to come back to me and ask me about your products and how we productize those. But so some ideas for people that might want additional ideas or not know exactly what I'm talking about would be webinars or seminars, programs like losing weight, getting over the fear of flying, how to succeed at life, how to have greater confidence, recorded courses teaching hypnosis or your particular niche, confidence, anxiety, losing weight, right? The standard topics, instruction or courses. Jim, I love the fact that you have courses. And may I ask personally, are these PLR, are these private label relights or rights, or did you make them yourself?
I created it myself.
Brilliant. Love that. Love that. You and I will have a lot to talk about. And when I say courses, does everyone know what I and Jim are talking about? Right? You think about a course as something you go to college to take. Those have moved virtual also. Are all of you familiar with that?
Not so much. I mean, some.
Danny, DL, not. Okay. Barbara, are you familiar with that idea?
I love my teaching so much. I don't want to be just lecturing.
You bet.
And so I like feedback as I'm teaching.
Yep.
And so if I sell a program for somebody to take in, and they buy the program and then they go off on their way, that would bring me in some passive money. But that's not the way I like to work.
And I'll say this, I'll say 2 things, although I'm jumping ahead of myself. Barbara, is there ever anyone that wants your services that can't afford you?
Yes.
Well, here's a way that you could connect with them. Barbara, is there anyone that isn't sure about spending the amount of money that they would need to spend on you, so that they'd like a little taste of you or wonder who you are before they're willing to invest that much money? And you might not know that, because the people who decide that you're too much, they oftentimes won't say, hey, Barbara, I'd love to hire you, but I can't afford you. The people who want to know more, like, this is, I think I need this, but man, she's expensive. I'm just going to either not do anything at all, God forbid. But oftentimes we don't hear about the people who do need us. And the idea of some of these productized products is that it gives people a little taste of you, and it still lets them get some of what they most need, right? If somebody's only got $10 or $15 or $30 or $50 or $100 or $150 or $1,000, it still might be a gift to them. And by all means, you have the right to say, just don't dig it. I don't like it. I want one-to-one. And what I would say, not necessarily to you, Barbara, but what I would say is that you're depriving the world of something that they need. You deserve to be enriched. You deserve to make a profit. And the world needs what you have if you can share it. So I'll throw that in. We can come back around to courses. But yeah, in general, what Jim and I are talking about with courses, DL, for yourself, is the idea of coming up with a, why does the word escape me? What's a list of topics that you coming up with a structure of what you're going to talk about, an outline, doing a video or an audio or a book on what that topic is, dividing it into chapters or modules. And then oftentimes, and I'm talking about the way of automating the delivery of this. Barbara, you can, and I think that you have decided on an outline that you present in person. You can also videotape or audio tape this or write it and then have it delivered automatically. One way would be called as a drip, and that's where it's perhaps emailed out to the student. The other is there are a number of course software hosting platforms or private platforms where after recording yourself or writing your book or doing the audio, you can put it up and people can log on to your website, subscribe to your course, pay you, DL, so you wake up with money in the morning, and Barbara, get the gift of your brilliance in a small little taste on their own time, at their own space, at their own pace, so that they are ready to, and then they know who the heck you are, and ideally will buy something more. But so that's what Jim and I are talking about with courses, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Does that make sense, Dale?
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. So recorded courses in all of the general topics that people do. Books, ebooks, or manuals. Danny, this is part of what you're talking about. So how-to books, how to become a hypnotist, how to find clients, how to run a full practice, but also subject-specific books, how to get over divorce, how to find your confidence, how to handle your anxiety, fears, and nerves during birth, Barbara. And those can be ebooks, those can be manuals, how to get past phobias, how to hypnotize yourself. Oftentimes people, entrepreneurs will say, but there's been a million of those books written already. And I'm going to share Entrepreneurship Mistake 101 in a second, but I'd say that you still have a special secret sauce that you add. Either you connect with people differently, or you have a different nuance on it, or maybe it's just your personality. But I would encourage you, don't shut down passing on what you know if it fascinates you. And number two is if there is a market. We'll talk about that in a second.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, sir.
I just love to share a real quick,
Please.
just a real quick thing based on what you just said. When I did my very first paid speaking gig, it was for a group of lawyers, and I was kind of thinking, I was going to teach them some NLP techniques, and I was like, I don't know, they probably already heard all this stuff from Anthony Robbins. He's huge, Tony Robbins. And I go in there and I go, so I start to do the teaching and I go, so how many people have heard of Anthony Robbins? And 3 hands went up.
Fascinating.
I mean, I was like, wow. So really what he's saying is so true, because a lot of these people, we hear this stuff all the time, but the other people out there, they don't hear it. They don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a perspective that may be singular, and we'll find the right person. So trust that what you have has value. That's part of it. I will add a nuance to that, and I've cautioned you a couple of times. We'll get to that in a second. But along the line of books, ebooks, manuals, think about your own life story. I'm sure each of you are fascinating people, and that the story of your life would bless them. Barbara, share with them how you came to hypnobirthing and what you've discovered since. My God, that would be fascinating to read. Danny, you do some powerful, powerful stuff on your website that would bless the world to know. So think about writing the life of a hypnotist, or my life, or you can even go off on a bent and write famous hypnotists of Seattle. I love the fact that many of you are doing MP3s or have, it sounded like some have videos too. And so do think about doing video meditations. Think about doing hypnosis, either by audio or video. Think about relaxation, think about affirmations, think about subliminal messages. And again, it's within your wheelhouse. I know originally when I came across subliminal, I thought how fascinating. I did some research. I became a cynic. I've come around full circle now to think, oh no, those are great. And so some of what you'll find on my website are subliminal products because I love the power of them. But these are ways of taking your gift, getting it to a wider audience. And we can talk about trying to figure out when's the best time to jump in, how to make this easy on you to produce. But if each of you log in your mind or on paper what fascinates you, we'll come back around. We'll talk about how to make some of this easy. Programs, Barbara, like you offer that are systematized: weight loss, confidence, hypnobirthing, small groups, or automated groups. One of the things on Total Life Success, the website that I built, and in my search for a product model, for a profit model, I had the book. The book wasn't selling enough. At the time, I looked around for a community. I love talking about life success and goal setting. So I looked around for a community that I could just talk about on the internet, right? If you take any small niche that there's not that many people that actually do, where's the one person you can find enough people to have a good conversation? Probably the internet. I looked around, there was only Tony Robbins, as a matter of fact, what you had said, Jim. And Tony Robbins was full of people who loved Tony Robbins and were Tony Robbins acolytes and disciples. And they wanted to talk all about Tony Robbins. And although I like some of what Tony offers, I'm not too big on the guy. So I started my own community just because I wanted to talk. I have to tell you, at the end of Total Life Success's run, when I chose to shut it down, the #1 moneymaker for myself, passive income, was the online community. I got enough people coming to the community that would talk amongst themselves that I began charging for admission to the community. And that became my number one bestseller. All I did was provide the web space for people to come and have conversations. Don't get me wrong, I did put in the effort and time to get enough steam coming and to get enough conversations coming that there was enough reason for people to come. But so here's a product idea that anyone could execute, is to, even you providing space for people to come and talk about what you're fascinated. Barbara, I would think that new parents would eat this up. I would think that people that are pregnant and concerned would eat this up. A community to talk about their concerns and talk about their fears and talk about the work they've done with you and how it works. I can't think of a market that might be more willing to put some money into it and get more benefit out of a community than maybe new parents. You know, you've got a fanatic community there. Think outside the box. So think about Alexa skills, or think about applications on your smartphone. And I'd like to encourage you that it doesn't matter if you know how to make an Alexa application. I'm talking to my computer, so it's talking. Alexa, stop. Sorry, from now on, it will be Amazon Echo. Otherwise, it's going to talk back to me every time. So Amazon Echo skills or smartphone applications, you don't have to learn how to program. As a matter of fact, one of the secrets that I'll offer is, to the degree of your ability, outsource the production of part of what you're doing. Again, your secret sauce is your passionate knowledge, passion, depth, and knowledge of what you offer. And you're going to take yourself on this large tangent to learn how to code for Amazon Echo, or to learn how to make an application. Now, don't get me wrong, if you are bootstrapping it, shoestringing, if your budget is a shoestring, if you're bootstrapping it, it might very well mean dipping in and learning some of this. But there's ways to outsource everything that I'm going to talk about today. So think about, if you have a special niche, Danny, in self-love, DL, if you have something regarding checking in with alcoholism or addictions, that these all also make applications. Some famous entrepreneur that I just came across yesterday said, in looking for your ideal product, come across something that people use multiple times a day. If you can come up with an idea that people use multiple times a day, you have the potential for $1 billion product. And so I would think for addicts or people that are working through recovery, Barbara, I would think for at least 10 to perhaps 24 months of new parenting, maybe longer, depending on what you add. I'm looking around to see who else we got, that you can come up with application ideas or community ideas where people would go to your community multiple times a day, the same way that we do to Facebook. It might be as simple as outlines, Oxford Notes. Byron Katie, are you familiar with her? She has the idea of the work, right? I mean, in essence, she's come up with a list of 4 things within cognitive behavioral therapy that you ask yourself, is it true? Can you absolutely know it's true, right? And this becomes an introductory product, Barbara. This is her introduction. She offers it for free. Danny, similar to your videos, this introduces people to who she is. And then they start reading more, and then they want more. And then it becomes a need that they want to use the services. Jim, performances, you can productize, and I'm sure that you have that down. The idea of hypnosis, private parties, along with backroom sales programs and individual services offered. I'll offer one other thing, is accountability. This is productized. Do you realize that people will pay for accountability? DL, you probably do. But I'll offer for each of you, with weight loss, with working on your confidence, with working on your anxiety during pregnancy, that I have several coaches that I've worked with who charge from $350 a month to $1,000 a month purely for check-ins. I will talk with you for 10 minutes, one time a week, for $350. It is purely accountability to find out how you're doing. I don't offer advice during these systems. If you're well enough known, if you're fascinated, if you've got a smart enough niche, then, if you have identified enough niche, people will pay you for that. Danny, how long am I supposed to talk? 1 hour?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And so, Mark, do you have any like suggestions for programs that we could use as far as, audio, video, digital?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hold on to that question. What I do want to do, and are we all right? Is everyone all right if I go, is the majority all right if I go to 8:15, or if people are enjoying it, we can keep on talking. Everybody all right for now?
Yeah, our
Good.
meetings usually go from 7 to 8:30, so yeah, we can keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I do want to touch on is, and Danny, absolutely, I've got tons of suggestions depending on, again, as I ran through the list with Jim, Barbara, DL, Danny, Cindy, who am I missing? There's somebody else on there.
Anna.
Yeah, Barbara. Yeah, Anna. The ideas that stood out for you, latch onto those, and let's talk about how you implement on those. But entrepreneurship lesson 101, mistake number 1 is selling what you want to sell. And every entrepreneur starts off with this, right? We are fascinated by this special thing that meant so much to us, and we want to give it to the world. And as a cynic and as a realist, I have to offer the world really doesn't care what turns you on or what you're passionate about. The world is interested in what it wants. And so entrepreneurship mistake number 1 is to purely sell what you're interested in. You have to look for what the market wants to buy. Now, although I'm a cynic, I also believe in people's inherent ability, and I believe that each of us were brought to the world for a reason. So you're looking for the intersection between your passions and what the world most needs. And if you can find that intersection, if you can identify that, and people talk about niching that down, if you can find that intersection, you can do what you love, and the world needs it and will reward you. But the process for doing this is to start with brainstorming and coming up with ideas. And that might be what the things are that you're passionate about. That might be doing some research on Amazon to see what the most popular products are in that space. That might be going to a place like Quora to find out what kinds of questions are people asking and exactly what kind of information do they need. Right? And these things begin helping you to outline what your product is. It helps you to identify how many people are asking for it, because that's your market. And it identifies what is the problem that they need solved. You can go to a place like Craigslist and find out what the gigs or services people are most asking for, and to see if there is some kind of an intersection there between what you do and what people are looking for. But you'll want to actually begin coming up with your list of ideas, 10 or 20 ideas, and then start dipping into what is the market size for this? How many people want it? What are they paying for it? What are the problems they're looking to be solved? And to take notes of that. You're looking for something that solves a specific and painful problem, right? If people are fairly comfortable, unfortunately, none of us really move if we're comfortable. We're all looking for stasis. We're all looking just to kind of be even. So, but some of the most profound work that each of you do is working with people in their pain, and people will pay for that. So you're looking for something that ideally stands alone as a product, something that solves a specific and painful problem, something that there is high demand for, ideally something that people will use every day, every week, possibly multiple times a day is brilliant. Something that if it requires materials, right, Danny, for instance, your book, if it requires materials, you want something that you can resell for between 8 and 10 times what the materials are that it takes. And Jim and DL, this is the brilliance. I think, Cindy, you said you have MP3s. This is the brilliance with MP3s. This is the brilliance with digital products. This is the brilliance with a course, Barbara, that you've pre-recorded, is that after you've paid for the hosting, there's an unlimited amount of that can be sold and reach people. But if you're selling something with physical products, you want to be able to resell it for 8 or 10 times. If you can't, the profit is probably not there for you. Ideally, something that's $1 million business. We can talk later, but there are some ways to identify how large markets are. Entrepreneurship mistake number 103 is because the market is $1 billion. If I get, and then you name some arbitrary amount, and if I get 1% of $1 billion, I'd be me. Like, there's nothing that says that you're going to get any portion of the $1 billion. But you do want to see how big the market is, what people are paying for it, and you want to evaluate how much competition is there. Because if you can identify places that have deep need, are paying large money, and has low competition, that's a sweet spot, particularly if it intersects with your passion. Make sense, DL?
So far,
Awesome. Okay. After you have done some modicum of research about what will sell, the next thing I'll say is that you want to actually sell it. And you want to come up with a minimal viable product. I would encourage none of you to put next to any effort into actually producing anything until you find out if people want to buy it. And this is the challenge, right? How in the heck do I do that? And you can do that different ways. We can talk about that if that's useful. One thing that entrepreneur mistake number 1 of 4 is people go to their friends and they go, hey, I'm writing a book on how to lose weight. You know, what do you think? Well, your friend is your friend. Your friend's going to go, oh my God, that's incredible. Yeah, you should do that. That doesn't mean anything. I used to work out of Starbucks, and every day I would be busy building my products. And so I came up with what I thought was a brilliant idea. It was an old lady that she had to have been 80 or 90 years old, and she had a crush on me. I was well aware of that. She was just fascinated to talk to me no matter what I wanted to talk about. And I just needed to bounce this idea off somebody. Said, dang it, what was her name? I do not remember her name. Maybe it'll come back to me. I said, hey, I'd like to, what do you think about this idea? And I described what the idea was. She goes, oh my God, that's wonderful. That is incredible. Everyone could use that.
So we're just waiting for Mark to come back. If you move towards your camera or move your hands a lot, it sometimes throws the
Really?
Yeah. But he'll come back. Great.
Well, this is the way the lady reacted.
Yeah, exactly. She was just glued to him, apparently. Mark might need to, I'm going to just stop. I'm going to pause recording for just a minute till Mark comes back.
All right, my apologies. I'm sitting in the dark. My power just went off. So when my power comes back on, there will be an abundance of beeping and noises. I don't know if my computer will connect or not. So we'll see what happens. But have dialed in for my cell phone, and we will go as far as we can by cell phone.
Good job.
Yeah, I've got 74%. We should be good. Okay. So yeah, I'm sitting in the coffee shop. I come up with a brilliant idea. I asked this one, she was so full of life. What do you think of this idea? Oh my God, Mark, she says, that's incredible. Oh, everyone will buy that. That's wonderful. Well, I knew entrepreneurship lesson, 101. It doesn't matter what your friends said. And I said, well, so how much would you pay for this? Right? I'm trying to do some pricing testing. And this is something that each of you might do with your own product ideas as well. Is you want to find out how much people value it or how much they might pay for it. She goes, everybody, I don't know, $100, 100? I said, seriously, what would you pay for this? She says, no, I think that this is worth $100. I said, awesome. Could I have $100 and I'll give you. She said, well, no, I don't. It's not for me. I wouldn't buy the product. I go, all right, well, great. Then I don't think it's worth $100. I used to work as a as a marketing director for a chiropractor. Wanted a website, built a website for him. He immediately went to all of his chiropractor friends to ask what they thought about the website. They all thought the website was horrible. Leo was his name. Leo, I said, we're not selling to chiropractors. It doesn't matter what your chiropractor friends think of it. They thought it should be more scientific. They thought it should talk more about the science of chiropractic. Dude, people just want to be fixed. They are in pain and they just want to be healed. They want to know that you can heal them. Let's build a website for this. So do not commit entrepreneurship mistake 101. Actually look to sell it. There's a couple of ways to do that. You can go on Craigslist, offer it for sale. You can pay per click off of Google or Facebook and place ads. You can build, again, a landing page that offers it for sale. And I'd encourage you, you can email your friends, 10 friends, to say, I'm actually selling this. Would you buy it? Sometimes that can be useful. Sometimes that won't be useful. If you get any of your friends that genuinely buy it for what you're offering, that's useful. if you get any of the contacts that you know. If you don't, if nobody buys it, you can go back and ask them why, what was missing from the product, what would you want it. Here's a real challenge with marketing. Most of us don't know why we do what we do. We make decisions, and science often shows that we make decisions from emotions, and often in a tenth to about 1 second, 1 to 2 seconds, that we'll make a decision. And then after the decision has been made, we go back and we justify it logically in our mind. I should buy the product because we'll come up with our lists. And so the problem with asking people, why did you not buy, or what did you want, is oftentimes people will give you answers that may or may not be accurate. I encourage you to go ahead and ask. It's useful. But consider them data points and consider them things to think about. It might not be the answer. If you get one person who says that I didn't buy your stop smoking tape because it was too expensive, I thank you very much for your opinion. If you had 2 other people actually pay for it, I would negate the opinion. So be careful what you're asking. If you're looking to actually test it by selling it, if you put up a web page for it, and that's oftentimes the easiest way to test products, is a website, and then less than $500, I often say about $100 to market it through pay-per-click. And does anyone not know what pay-per-click is?
I say that again.
You know what pay-per-click is?
Pay-per-click?
Pay per
Okay.
click. Yeah. So through what? I mean, Facebook ads, I think, do that.
Correct.
Right. And what
Yep.
other websites or whatever apps do that?
Bing does that. Google does that. Those are some of your best. I would consider Craigslist paid ads for services or products to be similar. In essence, you're seeing who clicks through. And you put up a 1 page that describes the benefit of your product, everything up to and including a buy button. And I'm not encouraging anyone to take money for products that they have not built, because again, remember, the idea is I encourage you to spend next to no effort actually building something until you have proven that people will buy it. It unfortunately doesn't matter how passionate you are about it. Now I'll talk about what to do with things that you're passionate about but don't sell. But put up everything including a buy button, and the buy button will take them to, say, a page that says, we'll be coming out with this in a month, or we'll be coming out with this in 3 months. Let's take your email, so I'll let you know when it's available. But every email that you collect then is verification that there is a market for this. So after you finally identified, brainstormed the intersection between your passion and what the world wants, after you've tested it to see whether or not it will actually sell at that point, you can begin to systematize a package to sell your services. A key part of successfully productizing your business lies in your ability to systematize the delivery of it. Things like pricing, included services, delivery timelines should be standardized, so you don't have to spend time on proposals or pitches. The product should be homogenized so that it is one general product for most people, whether, Barbara, that is something that you're doing in person, or DL, something that is something like your MP3s, right? It's one MP3. You'll outline precisely what the clients or customers get at what price. Looking through the notes real quick. Yeah. When you brainstorm your product, you're looking to niche. It feels counterintuitive. Oftentimes people want to come up with products that are as large of a market. You really want to find something deep that you have deep knowledge, passion in. You want to take the winners and begin building those systems. For the losers, think about pivoting. So people did not want to buy what you sold. Can you market it to a different target audience? Can you change it slightly? If they didn't like a course, would they like a webinar? If they didn't like a webinar, would they like a manual? If they didn't like a manual, did they like an audio? And you can pivot slightly and retest. You take your winners, outline the product or system. You will reduce your knowledge, and this is where we get into some of the meat where I'd like to hear your ideas. You can reduce the knowledge to written, audio, video content. And my number 1 tip would be to hire someone else. Then you'll market it, sell it, begin receiving money. You'll stay involved as you deliver it to iron out any problems between what your product is, what people expected, and how they got it, and how they've received it. And after you've done that, you can automate the system. You'll have productized your idea at that point. But the next step for me would be to automate it. And after you have it automatically and it is generating any modicum of income, then begin to think about scaling it. All of those things are unique depending on the product. So at that point, we kind of dip into what are you guys' ideas and where can we go? Danny, I'm going to start with you because you said, do you have any ideas? One of the big ideas that I will throw out there for all of you with content products, right? And we can talk about how you build a community that brings in money. How can you build a course that brings in money if that's the interest? But one of the things that I'll offer first that I suggest people building content, writing a book or recording video. Well, we'll talk about writing a book. People say, oh my God, I could never write a book. I just don't have it in me. So one of the first things that I'll throw out there is if you have knowledge in your brain that there is a market for because you've tested it and people want to buy it, anymore, all you need to do is set up a video. Here's what I encourage you to do. Set up a camera or set up an audio recorder. Have your best friend in the room, somebody that asks insightful, probing questions, that understands what you're talking about and asks some questions, and just have a damn conversation. Just start talking about it. If you do well on your own and you can set up a video, go for it. You can take that and you can, and let me make sure, oh yeah, you guys can still see. Then you can take that and you can run it through a transcription services that reduces it. And these are automated at this point, and they're fairly accurate within 95 to 97%. Reduce it to the written word and then take it and play with it and begin finessing it into a manual. Or take the audio recording and turn that into an MP3, or take the video and turn that into your course. Segmentize that by 5-minute points and put it up on a course. So, so in answer to your question, Danny, I'll ask for people to be more specific, but I'll start out really general. There is, and I can kick out it'll take me about a week, but I can kick out a list of resources for people. For recording yourself off of audio, off of your computer, there's a free and I'm, as a bootstrapper for all of my life, I'm big on free or cheap. So there's a product called Audacity that is a wonderful recorder. It is able to put together really polished professional audios for that. You can lay down multi-tracks, you can do audio effects, you can clean up the audio so that it's nice. So I would encourage Audacity. For live streaming or recording yourself on your computer, I think this is another brilliant way to get the knowledge you have in your head out into the beginnings of a product. There is a product called StreamYard that allows you to both record your screen and the video, and it will record it for you. It's done off of your computer, so your computer doesn't bog down. And so everything is more automated. So you're not.
What was that called again? StreamYard.
StreamYard. SteamYard. StreamYard.
Okay.
Yep. There's a similar product to StreamYard called Melon app, and Melon does the same thing. It records your screen or your video on your computer so that you can begin turning that in. There's a third one that a lot of people use. It's called OBS. This is again for recording your camera and or screen. My own personal experience with OBS was that it was highly technical. It was glitchy. I struggled with it. I'm not sure about you guys, but look, I don't need anything else interrupting my creative process. When I have a brilliant idea, or what I think is a brilliant idea, I want to jump on and start recording the damn thing and get something on video while I've got the idea. I need something that with 1 or 2 clicks I can go live, or I can record myself and I can start talking about this. But if you don't represent well by yourself, ask a friend to sit there and have a conversation with you, or even do that by StreamYard will allow you to talk with other people. Melon allows you to talk with other people. To edit down the audio, to record the audios and edit the audios, that's just Audacity. To edit the videos, there are 2 different products that I would suggest. And it's at this point that I'll caution you that learning to edit a video off of another platform is a deep dive, and it takes you away from it. If you have the money, outsource it. If you don't, and you're passionate about getting your voice out, I would encourage you to go ahead and practice with it. It is learnable. You can do it. One of the best cheap ones is called HitFilm, but Adobe also has a video editor. Then there's a couple of ones that I'm not remembering. HitFilm, FX, Adobe, all allow you to edit video very powerfully. These, you can do incredible work with these, but it's a bit of a deep dive. I also have resources that you could outsource it for relatively cheap. So I have people that I know in Bangladesh, in India, in Philippines who do this, and the money differential, you know, dollar US goes a lot longer in those countries, so you can do it for a lot cheaper. And as a matter of fact, for some of the clients that I work with, this is one of the most powerful ways to get their content out. Go ahead, record yourself, shove it over to somebody who's a professional and can whip this out in 2 hours rather than your 12 hours of struggling, and come up with a product that's way better than yours. So that would be video editing. And I'm not sure if there's enough interest regarding courses. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do courses, but let's spit at this point, what ideas do you guys want? Ideas on how to produce and do. And I'm fascinated to hear what has inspired you or what you might think of for your own product.
Hey, Mark.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead, Jim.
Hey, Mark. I just wonder, could you just talk for a minute about how one of my big problems is I don't know how I would go about outsourcing for video editing.
Yeah, so you've heard of Fiverr?
I'm on Fiverr. I've looked at stuff, and I bought intros and outros.
There we go.
Which I got to tell you, I mean, I've spent hours trying to do something that I paid $15 for, and it looks awesome, way better than I can do in like hours. So please drop all your graphic design and video stuff like that. Go to Fiverr. But I don't know, like if I had a video, like say I did a video for a course, I did a 20-minute thing, and there's stuff that needs to be cut out. I mean, I don't know how exactly to communicate that to them.
So you're looking for somebody in one of the, how I would do that is I would still go, third world country. I'd still go for Philippines. I'd still go for, you're looking for a country. India is proficient in English. Philippines is proficient in English. You're right. The challenge is describing, hey, from 10 seconds and 30 frames to 19 seconds, I want that cut out. Let me even back up and say, so Fiverr, for those of you who don't know, is spelled FIVR.com, I believe. If not, I can post afterwards what it is. It's a bit of a mishmash of a whole bunch of service providers. It can be a challenge to find somebody that's really good. But as you find somebody who's both good and cheap, hold on to that person. And so there are people who will edit your audio. There are people who will do graphics for you. There are people who will take your audio recording, turn it into a book for you, and give you a preliminary rough draft. And this is profound to do. Jim is asking directly about video editing. There are video editors. Jim, in addition to there being intro and outro and graphics designers, there are video editors that do some profound stuff based off of what you want. And so you'd start by looking in the video editing, finding a few people that speak English, and begin working with them. This, like everything, is a bit of a process. The first time you work together with a video editor producing one of your videos, it will be stilted, conflict-ridden, challenging. But as they learn your style and as you learn what they can do, the next video or maybe the next draft will be so much more polished, so much faster. And what you said earlier is the real key to this. Rather than struggling for 12 hours to produce crap, you can pay $15 and they'll have it done in a couple of hours, professional, polished, and often. So that's video production. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Cool, awesome. And again, after this, I can kick out a list of some recommended resources for all of this. Do other people have other ideas for where to host a course, for how to put a course together, for how to write a book, for how to do audios? I'll say this real quick. One of the things that I came back around to in my exploration of subliminals was that there is an online application, I think it's 50 or 60 bucks, that enables you on your own computer to do subliminals. And so it will take whatever audio, you take your voice or computerized voice, and it will take your affirmations or your hypnotic message, and it will bump it down to a level and present alternative audio so that it makes it subliminal. So you can produce your own subliminals. But one of the things that I'll say too about producing your own products is you don't even have to write it. There is something called private label rights where you can buy somebody else's system. And you can put your name on it. If you don't feel that's disingenuous, then leave your name off of it. But you can find somebody else's product, whether that's a book, a video, whether that's an audio, and you can offer that as a product on your site too, right? This is not for all of us, but that's also the idea of maybe doing an outline of somebody else's work. You know, if you love a famous psychologist or famous hypnotist, do your spin on what they offer, particularly if they've passed. You can look through resources like Gutenberg that offers books that are copyright free, that are no longer licensable. You can look through something that's called GPL, dang it, what is it called? Because it just leaked out of my mind. There is content available online that comes without licenses. You can look for Wikipedia articles and reformat them to add into what you're doing. You know, Barbara, hypnobirthing, check out I'm not sure if there is, but if there's a Wikipedia article, take that, copy it nearly verbatim, spin it a little bit in your own voice and stick that into an introductory paragraph. For my subliminal audios, I went and searched copyright-free audio songs, and there are thousands of them. And I found, you know, wonderfully soothing music. And then I bought this program for $60 that allows me to produce subliminals, or I use Audacity and I recite a hypnotic script or an affirmation script. I combine the free music that somebody else made along with mine. I run it off on an MP3, and that is now, if my power were on, I'd show you on my website, that is now probably 4 or 5 of my products that sell. So you don't even have to do your own things, but let me throw it back to you guys. What else can we talk about that you guys do want to do and need some hints or tips about how to make it easy and sell a lot of?
Go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah. I hear people talk about Kajabi, and I am not sure what that offers that is of benefit to us here.
Brilliant. So Kajabi, what Cindy is talking about is a course or a seminar hosting platform. In essence, Kajabi becomes your website. It would be, you can do a live video off of it. And again, for people like Barbara, where you enjoy your audience, you know, maybe you do it on a Zoom, you record it, and then I still encourage you to think about leveraging that, turning that into a product. But maybe you do a live Zoom, you record it. You can upload it, Cindy, to a service like Kajabi, which in essence is your website, but they also handle back-end hosting. They also handle storage of your video. You can do a written course on there. Kajabi is most used for courses, which typically are written materials, audio materials, or video. And so Kajabi will host it for you. They will deliver it for you. They will collect your money for you, so you'll be able to charge it. They also handle your content protection, so that people are not, so it's not open, right? If DL, you sell an MP3, you know, the fact is I can download your MP3, I can run a copy of it, I can throw it out to all my friends. I think entrepreneurship mistake 105 is to worry about that. Yeah, if people try hard enough, they can duplicate almost anything. Don't worry about that. You're really not going to be losing millions of dollars from somebody copying stuff. It is better for you to get it out and sell it than it is for you to worry and just protect. Make it easy for people. But Cindy, Kajabi will offer protections on your content so that other people can't copy it or just simply pass it on. Did that answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Kajabi is wonderful. Thinkific is another one. I host my own courses on my own website. I've got WordPress. Danny, this is back to your earlier question. If you're slightly tech savvy and you want a website, I would wholly encourage you not to use Wix, not to use Squarespace, not to use Google. Nothing brands you as an amateur. Nothing helps you lose trust faster. I would encourage you to use WordPress. WordPress is a free online platform that allows you to build a website. You still have to host it somewhere. And the third thing is that I would recommend you buy a URL, totallifesuccess.com or something from somewhere. Those three parts for a website. But if anyone has questions, we can dip into how to do that. But WordPress is a wonderful, easy, effective way to host, to build a website, and it runs fully 1/3 of the web is WordPress. So I run my courses off of WordPress. Jim, may I ask where you host your courses?
Right now, I've just signed up with Follow Up Spark. So I've got one course there, and the other was just sort of it was just downloads from Google Drive, but I'm revamping those and uploading them to Follow Up Spark as well.
Beautiful, brilliant. You know, the challenge again as a bootstrapper and often working on a shoestring project, I really go with free. I mean, that was why I decided to go with WordPress. Sometimes what you save, trying to save money, is a lot of effort that you just end up in time. This was your earlier point with videos, with editing videos. So that whatever facilitates you getting your voice out to the public, be willing to make 50 cents off of a course just so you can finesse the course, learn what people buy, and develop a following. You can earn your $10 course, your $50, your $1,000. There are courses that I know that people will pay $15,000 or $25,000 for, depending on your market. Be willing to start somewhere, and that kind of circles me back around to where we started on this. If you just take the ideas, and I can kick out these ideas by mail, if you just take the ideas and you think, well, that's interesting, you know, if you're fine with it, that's fine. But the world needs what you're offering. Before we finish, it is nearly 8:30. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Was there any other last-minute questions or direction that I can provide, and in particular towards specific products or productization ideas, or taking what you're doing and making that as a product? Good. Okay. Well, then with that, I will leave it. That I hope that my talk today has provided some inspiration for perhaps some more powerful words for you to connect with the people who so desperately need what you're doing, that can introduce you to them so you can work with them one-on-one if that's your passion. A way of providing more income for yourself and making it more stable so that you have the luxury of deciding where you want to work from, what you want to work on today, and what your effect on the world is. Thank you very much. Feel free to follow up by email to the group. We can continue the conversation if anyone has.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
very,
much.
very much.
We're so inspired. Oh my goodness.
This has helped a lot.
Awesome.
So,
yeah, I hope each of you guys have brilliant ideas. I would love to see your products develop, and feel free to follow up with me. I will add real quick that on the 17th, and I am offering a deeper dive into product and passive income and product development. And feel free to reach out to me if you'd like more information on that. There is a charge for that because I've outsourced some of the materials, but it will be a mastermind where we continue talking about how to actually, because every idea takes something separate. So doing a course is different from doing a video, is different from doing a book. And so we'll have a mastermind that we meet in there, along with a manual, several courses that I offer on how to do it. And feel free to follow up if that interests you. Again, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
Great. Great.